15 अगस्त वो दिन जब भारत ने आज़ादी की सांस ली। और आज हम बात करेंगे उन वीरों की जो हमारी सुरक्षा आज़ादी की हिफाजत के लिए सीमा पर तैनात हैं। थल, नभ और जल, हर मोर्चे पर जो डटे हैं, आज उन्हीं भारतीय सैन्य बलों को हम सलाम करेंगे। थल से नभ तक और समुद्र से अंतरिक्ष तक भारत की सेना हर मोर्चे पर तैयार है। भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप में सेना की ताकत और राज्यों के शासन के नियंत्रण की तलाश में अनेक साम्राज्यों का जवाब देखा गया। जैसे जैसे समय आगे बढ़ा, सामाजिक मानकों को एक झंडे तले कार्य स्थल को लोकचार अधिकारों और लाभों की प्रणाली व सेवाएं प्राप्त हुई। जैसा कि हम जानते हैं, भारतीय सेना ब्रिटिश उपनिवेशवाद से स्वतंत्रता पाने के बाद देश में एक्टिव हुई। बता दें कि भारतीय थल सेना का मुख्यालय और यह चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ COS जो समग्र रूप से सेना की कमान, नियंत्रण और प्रशासन के लिए उत्तरदायी है। भारतीय थल सेना, भारत की थल सेना देश की सबसे बड़ी रक्षा शक्ति। 13 लाख से ज्यादा जवान जो बर्फीली चोटियां, तपते रेगिस्तान और गहराइयों तक हर जगह मोर्चा संभाले हुए हैं। कारगिल हो या पुलवामा, LOC हो या गलवान, हर मोर्चे पर भारतीय जवानों ने बहादुरी की मिसाल पेश की है। जो तिरंगे के नीचे जीते हैं और उसी के लिए शहीद होते हैं। भारतीय सैनिकों ने हर बार साहस, शौर्य और बलिदान की मिसाल पेश की है। टैंक, मिसाइल और रॉकेट आर्टिलरी से लैस यह सेना देश की सीमाओं की पहली और सबसे मजबूत रक्षा पंक्ति है। इंडियन आर्मी कितनी ताकतवर? भारतीय सेना में 14,55,000 एक्टिव सैनिक हैं। इसमें 11,55,000 रिजर्व सैनिक हैं। 25 लाख से ज्यादा अर्धसैनिक बल के जवान हैं। इसके पास T-90 भीष्म टैंक, अर्जुन टैंक, ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल, पिनाका रॉकेट सिस्टम, हवित्जार तोपें हैं। भारतीय वायुसेना नभ स्पर्शम दिव्यम, आकाश को छूने वाली शक्ति है भारतीय वायुसेना। राफेल, तेजस, सुखोई, भारत के पास ऐसे फाइटर जेट्स हैं जो दुश्मन के रडार से पहले ही वार कर सकते हैं। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक, रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन या प्राकृतिक आपदा, हर जगह दिखा पराक्रम। भारतीय वायुसेना हर बार साबित करती है कि वो सिर्फ ताकत नहीं, भरोसा भी है। भारतीय वायुसेना के पास अत्याधुनिक फाइटर जेट्स जैसे राइफल, सुखोई 30, MKI और तेजस, हिमालय की ऊंचाई से लेकर रेगिस्तान की तपिश तक हमारी वायुसेना कहीं भी पहुंचने की ताकत रखती है। एयर स्ट्राइक से लेकर रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन तक भारतीय वायुसेना ने हमेशा अपनी श्रेष्ठता साबित की है। भारतीय नौसेना तीनों सेनाओं की मजबूत कड़ी। भारतीय नौसेना समुद्र की लहरों पर तैनात हमारे युद्धपोत INS विक्रांत और विक्रमादित्य दुश्मन को चेतावनी देते हैं, भारत समुद्र में भी अजय है। पनडुब्बियां, मिसाइल सिस्टम और समुद्री ताकत के साथ भारत ने इंडो पैसिफिक में अपनी मजबूत मौजूदगी दर्ज कराई है। समुद्री सीमाओं की रखवाली करती है भारतीय नौसेना। दुश्मन को चेतावनी देते हैं कि भारतीय नौसेना सिर्फ सुरक्षा ही नहीं, हमला करने में भी सक्षम है। नौसेना की ताकत, भारत की नौसेना काफी ताकतवर है। नौसेना के पास 1,42,251 नौसैनिक हैं। परमाणु पनडुब्बियां हैं, INS विक्रमादित्य और INS विक्रांत विमान वाहक पोत हैं। भारत के पास 150 युद्धपोत और पनडुब्बियां हैं। 50 से अधिक जहाज निर्माणाधीन हैं। इसके अलावा टोही और पनडुब्बी रोधी विमान जैसे P-8I MH-60R हेलीकॉप्टर भी हैं। भारत की सेना दुनिया की चौथी सबसे ताकतवर सेना है। अमेरिका, चीन और रूस के बाद भारत दुनिया का सबसे ताकतवर देश है। भारत के पास विशाल सेना जो आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स तीनों भागों में बटी है। भारत की ताकत उसके घातक हथियारों में छुपी है। इसके कारण दुश्मन हमारी तरफ आंख उठाने से डरता है। जैसे कि हमने बताया कि भारत की सैन्य ताकत थल सेना, वायु सेना और नौसेना में विभाजित है। आजादी के बाद से ही भारत अपनी डिफेंस की तरफ विशेष ध्यान रखता आ रहा है।
Intelligence report on the ninth evening, I will say, that they are planning something big. And next 48 hours are very critical. And also, we also decided that if they attack any of our installations, military installations, we are going to reply with military, attacking their military installations which matter to them. So since we already had our plans ready, this point was debated, and both the CNCs involved, the air headquarters people and the other services, we had taken a call that since they are mostly attacking us by Air Force assets and my Air Force bases are under threat, we should respond without waiting, in case this continues tonight also. And sure enough, this time we had their attack on our airfields with not only just loiter munitions, some of long-range weapons. Their aircraft tried to penetrate our defenses. Our air defense systems have done a wonderful job. The S-400 system, which we had recently bought, has been a game changer. The range of that system has really kept their aircraft away from their weapons like, those long-range glide bombs that they have. They have not been able to use any one of those because they have not been able to penetrate this system. And during our first night, sixth, seventh night, also air defense system had ensured that when they did their repost, their fighter aircraft was threatened. That time they had come with some of those long-range weapons which they were able to penetrate into our defenses in Balakot time, if you remember. Some of the army, some of the bombs had fallen very close to army area. But this time, since we were ready to use our long-range weapons of surface-to-air guided weapons, they were deterred. I think initially we found the build-up taking place, very massive build-up taking place. But once the first missile was fired from our side, from the ground, we suddenly found that that dissipation of that build-up. Also, we have some kills that we have got from our SAGW systems, because every time you fire a weapon on a track, you do get a feedback as to whether it is to be treated as a kill or not, because till when is that blip remaining and where is your missile going. So that I will talk about a little later. So 9th, 10th night again, a large number of their attacks on most of our airfields. The airfields like Adampur, Srinagar, Avantipur, they took the brunt of it actually. And many other airfields. From north to south, they tried to penetrate various classes of drones, including weaponized. We were able to neutralize most of their weapons by either countermeasures, some of them by using our air-to-air guns, as well as SAGWs. Systems like Akash and all have taken down many of their loiter munitions which have come in, the weaponized ones. None of their aircraft could come anywhere near the boundaries of Akash and even MRSAM. All their aircraft were taken on by LRSAM because they were trying to stay away, but still they were within our ranges at times, and that is the opportunity targets that we got. As far as our offensive was concerned, so that night we held no hold bar. We didn't have any hold bar, and we decided we will go attack at Pan front, we will stretch his resources. And the idea was once again, not to attack one particular A field and decimate that A field. Idea was to give him that feeling or give him that indication that, look, we can attack you deep inside at will wherever we want to. So some of the places that were attacked, like this is a command and control center at their Noor Khan base. This is the after attack, and this is before attack. Rahim Yar Khan base. This is based on specific intelligence. We had taken a call that here we have to attack the airfield. So the airfield was attacked, and their building, the main building where their planning goes on, which is also used as a civil terminal building also at times. As far as Sukur Airfield is concerned, we attacked their UAV hangar and a radar site. You have the visuals available here. This is the hangar which has been flattened, and this is the radar site which is before and after. Bolari, again, an AEWC hangar was attacked, and here we have very clear hint that there was an aircraft inside when this attack took place. Sargodha. We've grown up in our Air Force, dreaming about days like this. Someday we'll get a chance to go there. And so it just so happens that I got my chance just before I retired. So we attacked the airfield there because we had very hard hint on F-16s taking off from there, and the ones who were attacking us in Srinagar as well as in Adampur. So we took on the airfield there. Again, intentionally not taken on certain other installations in this airfield because of some kind of calculation by us that may lead to unnecessary escalation.
भारतीय सेना की आर्मी, एयरफोर्स और नेवी तीनों अत्याधुनिक हथियारों से लैस हैं। फाइटर प्लेन, मिसाइल, बड़े बड़े वॉरशिप भारत के पास हैं। भारत परमाणु हथियार संपन्न देश भी है। हथियारों के जखीरे में भारत के पास कई खरीदे हुए हथियार हैं। इसके अलावा भारत स्वदेशी हथियार भी डेवलप कर रहा है। फाइटर प्लेन और मिसाइल क्षेत्र में भारत ने कमाल की तरक्की की। भारत अब लेजर डिफेंस सिस्टम भी डेवलप कर लिया है।
And this is the last slide I have on this. That is Shahbaz, their Jacobabad airfield, one of them, again, a major airfield that was attacked. And here there's an F-16 hangar, which you can see here. And here this is the photograph again from open source, from one of their earlier picture of the same hangar. And here that hangar, which is one half of the hangar is gone. And I'm sure there were some aircraft inside which have got damaged there. So if I can just sum it up, what we were able to get there at least 2 command and control centers in like Murid and Chaklala that I have shown you one of the pictures. At least 6 radars, some of them big, some of them small. 2 SAGW system that is in Lahore and Okara. Then of course runway at Sargodha and Rahim Yar Khan. 3 hangars that we attacked. One was, of course, Sukur, the UAV hangar, the Bolari hangar of AEWNC, and Jacobabad, the F-16 hangar. And we have indication of at least 1 AEWNC in that AEWC hangar, and a few F-16s which were under maintenance there. Apart from these, the SAGW systems, mostly from, I'm talking about fighter aircraft are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed kills and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an Elint aircraft or an AEWNC aircraft, which was taken on at a distance of about 300 kilometers. This is the actually largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill that we can talk about. And apart from, of course, this, there are a large number of UAVs, drones, some of their missiles which have fallen in our territory. We have recovered a lot of wreckage from this, which now is being studied so that we can make out what did they do, where were they launched from, what route did they follow, what kind of system do they have, whether they have, what generation those systems belong to, what all features do they have. So that study is going on, and it is going on even in coordination with DRDO. If required, we will also take some other industries' help for that. So I can say that it was, more of the high-tech war which was fought. In about 88, 90 hours of war, we were able to achieve, so much of damage to their system that it was very clear in their mind that in this current situation, if they continue, they are going to continue paying for it more and more. So they have come forward and sent a message again through DGMO कि हम बात करना चाहते हैं, and which was accepted from our side. And when I say our side, is not just the Air Force, it's the joint decision that was taken, and it was taken even at the highest level.
सीमाओं की सुरक्षा और भारत की ताकत। भारत की सेना दुनिया की दूसरी सबसे सक्रिय सैन्य शक्ति का पहला स्थान चीन। भारत का रक्षा बजट 2025 में लगभग 6 लाख करोड़, लगभग $72 बिलियन परमाणु शक्ति से लैस देश है। सेनाओं के पास परमाणु हथियार ले जाने वाली मिसाइल और पनडुब्बियां भी हैं। अंतरिक्ष और साइबर डिफेंस में भी भारत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। भारत विश्व की सबसे पुरानी सभ्यताओं में से एक है, जिसमें बहुरंगी विविधता और समृद्ध संस्कृति विरासत है। यह अपने आप को बदलते समय के साथ ढालती भी आई है। आजादी पाने के बाद भारत ने बहुआयामी सामाजिक और आर्थिक प्रगति की है। भारत कृषि में आत्मनिर्भर बन चुका है और अब दुनिया के सबसे औद्योगिकृत देशों की श्रेणी में भी इसकी गिनती की जाती है। विश्व का 7वां बड़ा देश होने के नाते भारत काफी एशिया से अलग दिखता है। इसकी विशेषता पर्वत और समुद्र ने तय की है और ये विशिष्ट भौगोलिक पहचान देते हैं।
The next war which we are looking at, it may happen soon. As far as whole of nation approach will be there for the next war, it is not the military alone which will be fighting. This we have to fight this battle together. This now non-kinetic has to be fought together. Merchants today which are part of the battlefield, whether Starlink, Apple and so on and so forth. Of course we have the citizen soldiers, and I must tell you, when Kargil happened, the citizen soldiers were prominent. We had the shepherd who told us that where the intruders are, and the last Chief Justice of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Tashi, he himself galvanized the locals and himself carried the ammunition for the troops during the Kargil war. So what I am saying, citizen soldiers are omnipresent, and any kind of information which they have, if they give us, for example, drones, as you see where the drones are flying, so that if it is put in the app, it helps us knowing that whether it's our drone, whose drone. And this kind of a thing we have tried in the Amarnath Yatra recently in J&K. And if it becomes successful, we'll develop it more. And with the kind of intelligence which is sitting here, definitely we'll be able to make it more, if I can say that, fail-safe proof. Of course, the Guardian Force is concerned. This is the invisible, if I can say that, the non-kinetic handlers. And this is where you all come into play in a big way. Because today, war has four quadrants. I will not have time to explain the 4 quadrants. But the non-kinetic quadrant is something which you can start today. And the next war, which we are looking at, it may happen soon. And we have to prepare accordingly, as already been brought out by Director, that in this we have to fight this battle together. This non-kinetic has to be fought together. So what are the deductions? That as far as whole of nation approach will be there for the next war, it is not the military alone which will be fighting. Let me assure you very clearly in this issue. As far as the grey zone is concerned, it's ever present, and this will remain. As for the multi-domain, cyber, cognitive and space, these are the new terms which are coming in, and these are the new terms we need to learn more from you. We can tell you what do we want and what do we need to counter, but how, when, why is something you need to give us the answer. Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta, it's a long-term thing. Presently, whatever technology is being imported from outside and being called as Atmanirbharta, definitely it has a hidden cost. we are ready to pay more cost if it's purely made in India. Because then we know that we can change it, we can modify it, we can upgrade it. That is the biggest advantage. That is what we are looking at in-house technology. And as far as collaborative and synergistic is concerned, that means intra and inter. Because today, for example, we do not know what is happening on the Pak Western Front. But this information, when we have the exchange of intelligence with our neighbors on the other side, we'll definitely get to know which are the troops which are moving in what places. So what I am saying that interconnections are also equally important, which we call collaborative. And these collaborative will also, after some time, will go to the satellites and so many other agencies which are there, which are meant for a commercial purposes, but can also be used for the defense purposes. And if a synergistic approach is concerned, within us, that is the Tri-Services, NTRO, and so many other agencies which are there. So finally, if I look at that, India is facing a 2.5 front, and if it is facing the land borders, then keeping in with the psyche of the people in India today, currency of victory will remain as land.
उत्तर में विशाल पर्वत श्रृंखला हिमालय से घिरा यह कर्क रेखा से आगे सकरा हो जाता है। पूर्व में बंगाल की खाड़ी, पश्चिम में अरब सागर तथा दक्षिण में हिंद महासागर इसकी सीमा निर्धारित करते हैं।